What's up guys? In this video I will teach you and I will speak about loops, while, do while and the for loop. So yeah, let's start, and we have here the thing of the previous video, but yeah, let's create our first loop using the while loop. A loop is basically, what it's what the word says, a loop. So for example, let's create a variable I in which we store the value 0. And now let's print a message 10 times. So yeah, as you have seen now, I created a while loop. And what is a while loop and how can we declare a while loop? So basically we have to use the statement while, and after that we open the brackets and we set a condition. Then we open these keys, I don't know the word, and here inside we write whatever we want to do inside the loop. So what this loop is doing is saying, hey, while the value of the variable I is less than 10, come here and print the I value plus 1, we will see what it means later, and increase the value of I once. This thing is the same as doing I plus 1. We are taking the value of I, adding it 1, and updating the value. So yeah, if we now compile, and yeah, I forgot to put here an F, this is not Python. If we compile and then execute, we see that we print the numbers from 1 to 10. But how is this possible? I starts being 0. Why it starts here being 1? Because what we are printing is the value of I plus 1. If we just simply print the value of I, we have now printed the value of I. Before we were printing the value of I plus 1. So as you can see, what the computer is doing is saying, okay, I is equal to 0. Is I less than 10? Yes, it is. Okay, print this, and now update the value, like increase the value. Now is 1, and so on, so on, so on, so on. We are at 9. It increases the value to 10, and now I is no longer less than 10 because it's equal. So this condition is not fulfilled, and whatever is inside here is not executed. Like the computer goes out of the loop and it continues here. We can type here printf I finished the loop, and if we execute it, we see that what is printed at the end is I finished the loop. So yeah, this is the for loop, and the key things to have in a loop are a counter, you have to increase the value, and a condition. Another loop, you may not use it much, but in some cases it's truly useful, is the do while loop. So for example, we can do print f, well, the same as before, no? And yeah, this is very similar to what it was before. The thing is that, if I'm not wrong, yeah, it's the same. So before checking the condition, we are doing this. Like we do this and then we check the condition. In the previous while, we check the condition and then we do whatever was inside there. So yeah, for example, if we put here this, if we try to execute this, yeah, it will print a 0. But if we go back and we use the while loop, if we type the same thing here, the 0 won't be printed because it checks the condition first and then it does one thing. In the previous do while, it does the thing and then it checks the condition. So yeah, the last loop that we have on C, at least that I know, is the for loop. This is my favorite, and this is the one that you are going to use the most. So for example, as we said before, a loop needs to have a counter, we need to increase that counter, and we need a condition. So in that loop, we have here the counter, we set the variable to 0, then we have the condition, while I is less than 10. And finally, we increase the value. So yeah, the for loop has 3 spaces. And we have here 1 space to declaring variables, here 1 space for conditions, and here 1 space for increasing another value. So for example, we can do here print f, and yeah, you see like now this is shorter than the previous loops. And if we compile and we execute, it's the same thing as the while loop. And the thing I like about for loops is that, for example, if you have a big program and you declare here the I variable, you may just use it here in this loop. So what you can do is doing this, removing that declaration and declaring the variable here. If you declare the variable here, the I variable will be only useful inside the loop. Like if we try to do this, it will give us an error because, hey, look, so yeah, it's saying what is I? And yeah, I like this because if you just want to use the I variable here, you store, like you declare it here and that's it. So for example, if we now compile and we execute again, this is the same as before and it's shorter and you can understand it in a better way. Another thing I didn't tell you in the previous video is that like you can remove those brackets only when you are doing one thing in the loop. So for example, here I'm just printing. If I were printing 2 things, for example, the value and the value plus 1, yeah, I cannot remove this because it will break the things. But if you do only one thing as here, you can remove this and it will work the same. If you compile and if you do this, it will work. The same happens with if. If you put here, if let's declare a few variables, you put here int a equal to 0 and b equal to 0, and let's say that if a and b are 0, then print they are equal, like this, and boom. Yeah, so if you check this is cleaner, at least from me, than putting all these things. It's not bad to put this because it shows what is this doing, but if you put this in this way, I think it's cleaner, and you know, when you are doing few things, it works best. It works in a better way. So for example, you can put it here, or you can put it here. The same happens here. You could put it here, and this is a way of making the code more simpler and smaller and yeah, cooler. So yeah, as you can see, this also works. And yeah, that was everything for loops. I hope you understood the loops in C. And like, share, subscribe, and see you in the next one. Don't forget to go and check my website in which I talk about trading and cryptocurrencies and all that stuff for a very cheap price.
Damn, Sosa. You going crazy.
Quédate tranquilo, si estoy bajando todo, lo siento, te quedas en nada.
Ay.